Hi guys. Welcome back to the Lloydstead. Today, I actually have a couple things on our agenda. Deep sigh. I'm going to harvest some dahlias and a couple other things from the garden because I would like to make an arrangement because there's a lot of stuff coming in bloom. Obviously, look how pretty. Yes. So I figured I'd bring you guys along, one, to give you guys an update on how my trellis system has worked out, because I know a lot of you guys watched that, and if you haven't, I'll link it down below how I supported these dahlias, but also to show you guys how I harvest them. So we got lots of stuff to harvest. But also, before it gets too hot out here, I have more dahlias that I got to plant. And there's a couple other things to plant in the shade garden, so I figured you guys could come along there too. So yeah, come along and play in the garden with us. Yeah. It's gonna be crinkly. Guys. So I'm holding my mic because we're gonna be working and I haven't gotten a wireless yet. So yeah. Let me tell you guys what we're doing and update you on what this part of our garden is, since I don't know that you've seen it a whole lot. Even though I filmed stuff in here, I never uploaded it. That's a thing I do sometimes. So yeah, we are, again, trying to plant before the heat of the day really sets in. Planting in July is not ideal anyway, but it's possible. And in fact, perennials want to put down roots fast. So we want to get them in so they got plenty of time to establish before the fall. So it's kind of an experiment. I've never planted in July because who wants to plant when it's 90 degrees outside? But it is also when there are lots of sales, and they got me with the sales. So let me tell you what we're doing. First of all, I have these plants actually that we got bare root soaking. Oh, I'm over here. Typically, I wouldn't actually soak these guys for too long before planting out bare root. But because it's going to be so hot, these guys are going to be stressed when we first put them in the ground. And I want to try and minimize that. But what I have here in my hand is a Big Daddy hosta. We have been coveting giant hostas for a while for this shade garden, and I pulled the trigger and got them. I can put a picture up from where I got these. They are blue, which I really like, and they're going to be in a very shaded part, so I'm hoping the blue color will stay, will maintain. So we've got 3 of these. Let me show you where we're putting them. Oh, look, Dave's weeding. Yay, Dave. Dave's totally just going to be in the shot. Yeah, you are, David. Okay, this area, which I honestly can't remember how many times you guys will have seen this in videos. Like I said, I haven't shown it very often. This is what we call our upper shade garden. Let me spin you around because I'm standing on a path. This is what we call our lower shade garden. And these areas they've been hard for us to really start getting established because it's incredibly dry shade, which is why we've chosen some hostas. There are lots of things that don't compete well in dry shade, but hostas have been doing it for us. And it's very dry shade because of trees like this, which is a Norway maple, which is invasive. We've cut down most of them. I actually can't even remember if this guy's slated to go. Is this guy slated to go?
I don't think so, not until he gets sick.
Not until he gets sick. But we've cut down, how many would you say? 4 in this area? At least. I'm glad I've got David back here to help me remember all the things. Yeah, there were lots of little scrub trees like Norway maples. Worth identifying, by the way, not all maples are native and not all maples are good. The Norway maple is heavily planted and is a thug. He reseeds himself like crazy. Most of the weeds in our garden are maples, which is kind of crazy. Yeah, and a very, very shallow root system, creating very, very dry shade. Anyway, I'm rambling. Look, here's one. Dave cut him down a while ago, and he's sending up lots of suckers. So, yeah. Anyway, I didn't intend for this to turn into me rambling about the shade gardens. Between the Norway maples and winter creeper and multiflora rose, and what other weeds do we have in here like crazy? Poison ivy. Creeping Charlie.
Winter creeper.
We have some creeping Charlie. Creeping Charlie doesn't love the shade, but where there's sunlight, we have some coming in. Huh? Hackberries. But here's the thing about hackberries. They are native. Here's a hackberry tree. Like, I love their bark. It's so textural. I'm hoping this camera angle is not. And I keep on like putting it close to myself. I'm like, hello. Okay. Hackberries. They are native. They're actually they're used by hummingbirds and hummingbird nests. So we want to keep a lot of them, and they too pop up everywhere. Anyway, long story short, this has been kind of a challenging area to stay on top of, but David, I'm going to give him all the props, has worked his butt off to get this area a little more cleared, so we can try to stay on top of it without being overwhelmed. And we've been really pushing hard to plant a lot of things in here that are going to help crowd out the weeds now that we've gotten trees down and it's becoming less of a dry shade, highly competitive area. So it doesn't look like a whole lot now. The goal is maybe in 2 years, this place is really going to hit its stride. I've put ladies' mantle. So ladies' mantle was planted this year. The chickens have scratched them up, but they're tough. So there's quite a few ladies' mantles sprinkled throughout here. Arrowwood viburnum, which is native. There are 3 of those. Those will get really big. Those are nice big shrubs. Lots of astilbe, which struggles in dry shade, but I've been staying on top of watering. And the goal is that when they get established and we mulch this place much better, you can see where we started mulching with our chips from Chip Drop. Once I'm better about the mulching and they get established, they will be able to compete. They're actually holding their own, even though it has been a dry spring. We're starting to get much more rain now. And then sprinkled throughout are quite a few hostas that I just divided from other areas of the garden. There's a whole patch of mountain mint. We have a rhododendron. We have a Washington hawthorn. We have a David with his coffee. And then I put, look, I didn't even say this was going to turn into a tour, but look, it's turning into a tour. I'll be fast. No, you won't, Rebecca. You people know me. But I just popped in some lunaria that I grew from seed. Never grown it before, but apparently it can handle a decent amount of shade. And there's a bunch of those sprinkled throughout. What else do we have real quick? Here's a whole tray of more astilbe that are going to go in and fill some of the spots. There, see, this is a multiflora rose. Worth identifying because they're invasive and very fast growing. So we'll pull him out. But there's some more of the astilbe. And a hellebore, which he's my only one. I am going to buy more. I need more of those in my life. They also apparently compete very well in dry shade. Okay, I'll stop with the whole... Well, yeah, actually, while we're doing it, let me do it right. David laughed at me. Over here to tell you what's going on in our shade garden. And here is one of the reasons why I'm doing this real quick. I get a lot of inspiration from seeing beautiful gardens that are well established and full. But I think we need to see more of these gardens that are not well established yet, that are being established, and have people share their visions. Because it'll be a couple years yet before this is really as we envision it. And we envision it being basically just a tapestry of different green textures, different shades of green, different textures of green, and it really being a kind of a cool oasis in the heat of the summer. This is, and I can pop up some pictures, this is where I have the lion's share of my spring bulbs planted. So in the spring, this place is covered in color, and every fall I add more, just to have it chock-a-block full of tulips and daffodils and azaleas bloom. We've got 2 azaleas. We want to stick another one down there, and the rhododendrons bloom in late spring as well. So that's the vision. Tapestry of green. So to that end, we've got more astilbes. I showed you guys the azaleas, which are evergreen, which is nice. More astilbes. Peppermint. Here's my warning about peppermint. Don't plant it unless you want it to go crazy. We want it to go crazy over here. This is probably one of the hardest parts to keep some of the invasive vines out of. So the peppermint does get lovely little white flowers. We'll harvest it for tea and mojitos. Let's see, what else we got? We have some more ferns. They're starting to do much better now that they don't have as much root competition. You can see like the stumps of all sorts of little trees that we've taken out of here. So they're starting to fill in, hopefully more of those. A bunch of mint, lots of baby hostas. What is that called?
It's a hydrangea.
A hydrangea. Thank you. That's a macrophylla hydrangea, just the classic, like blue Nico, I think is the variety, a classic blue/pink guy. He has yet to bloom, and I think it's because he gets too much shade. I'm giving him another year now that we've removed some of the tree canopy to see if he has enough light to bloom this year. If not, we'll find a better home for him. But again, more astilbe. That pot, I actually want to take that. There's a bleeding heart. I want to take him out of the pot and actually plunk him in the ground, but probably not this season. They're very ephemeral. He will be completely gone by August. You can see how they just sort of start to disappear. He's been lovely because he has self-seeded himself, and I would like to encourage that. That's just the species. There's my other azalea, more hostas, more ferns, more David. A dogwood. We actually have 2 of these planted. This one's just a gray dogwood, so he'll be more of a bush that I think we're going to try and prune into a small multi-stemmed tree, and a forsythia. We had quite a few of these on our property. We like to use them just as basically as filler in our big landscape and let him actually maintain his true arching form, because we don't love them. Where did he go?
What are you looking for?
That wasp flew at me. I want to make sure he didn't land on me. Sorry. We want to just let him be his true arching form. We don't love seeing forsythia pruned into like the little balls. Anyway, sorry that turned into a tour, but maybe you guys are curious, maybe not. David dug just 3 deeper holes than we needed, because bare root perennials don't need giant holes, which is why that's kind of nice. But I'm adding just some good garden some good garden soil into these holes, mixing it up with the native soil. I don't often do that when we're planting perennials, because the sooner they get established in the native soil, the healthier they're going to be. However, like I mentioned before, it's July and it's going to be hot, and this is already not the most hospitable part of our garden. So I want to give these guys the best chance possible. So I mixed in some garden soil with the native soil, plunked them in, and now we're going to give them a really, really good watering in to make sure that they're able to withstand the heat. And like I've mentioned a couple times, I don't expect, honestly, that we're going to see anywhere close to the size that these guys can get this season. If I didn't mention it, I don't know if I did. They're called Big Daddy Hosta. Yes, I did. And I put up a picture. I'm on top of things. But their spread should, when they're happy, be about 4 by 4 feet. They'll just be nice, big, luscious looking hostas to fill in this area that we've just struggled with. Okay, on to the next task. Hi. Since you guys are coming along for the dahlia ride for harvesting dahlias and me talking about that support system, I figured I'd also show you one of the other things we're doing real quick today is popping some dahlia tubers in the ground. Again, experiment. Can we just appreciate the fact that I'm just talking to you guys while David's back there working? Bless his heart. I have never planted dahlias, one, straight into my very clay soil, two, as late as July. So they weren't directly. I started them in the,
right. Okay.
yes. Dave did point out, I do have other dahlias in this garden, but I started those, again, I can link the video down below. I started those in pots and planted them out as established plants. I'm just gonna stick tubers straight in the ground. Again, like the hostas, I am gonna just chuck some garden soil. I'm gonna mix that into the holes that David dug for me to give these guys the best possible chance of success. I also soaked them for a little bit before planting them out because again, it's July. We're gonna see. But here's what's groovy. If this works, even if they aren't, the best performing plants in the garden this year, I will be able to save the tubers and have stronger, more established plants next year, which I like. This variety is called Dahlia, and I have always coveted a pinkish red dahlia with dark foliage, and that's what he promises to deliver, which I want in my bird garden. And that's what we call this area behind me. I might give you guys a tour at some point. So these tubers came with some growth already. So I know at least some of these little tubers are viable, and we're gonna see. Like I started to say, if this works, I'm stoked because, guys, after the main planting season for dahlias, you can get tubers for 75-80% off of what you will pay for them if you get them in the spring. So I wanted to take advantage of those late season sales to get myself the dahlias I've always wanted, because the dark foliage ones tend to fetch a premium price. Anyway, let me stop yammering. I'm going to, again, stick these in the ground later on this afternoon, but for you guys it'll be like just a minute. I'm going to put together the arrangement with the flowers that I harvested out of the early morning garden. So come along. Not even bothered that he's getting his picture taken. Lazy boy. How you doing, lazy boy? Oh my goodness. Lazy boy. Hi. So I wanted to get to this actually a little earlier in the day, because it's best to harvest flowers as early as you can. But the day starts getting away from me. So we're going to harvest some dahlias. I've actually been neglecting these a little bit, but I figured I would show you guys, one, how the support system is working, which actually you can probably see from here. This is these strings kind of crisscross everywhere between some stakes that I have in the ground and this, which actually works very well. I'll show you the other one here in a second, but these are more upright than I've ever had dahlias be. So score on that account. There are 4 plants here, and I want to harvest a whole bunch. I want to make an arrangement. What I love about flowers, can I just say, look, oh, I hate those earwigs. Ah, they're so gross. That's not what I love about flowers. What I love about flowers is they do cultivate this fabulous, like, abundance mindset. And what I mean by that is I can't just save these. They're like manna from heaven. I can't just save them and let them stay in the garden forever and just enjoy them in the garden. Like, I've got to cut them. I've got to make arrangements. I've got to give away bouquets. Like, they have to be cut, or otherwise the plants stop producing. And I love that. Like, I love that abundance mindset. So I'm going to cut some dahlias. And let me bring you guys a little closer, and I'll show you how I harvest. Say hi to the dahlias. Hi. Look, right here. This guy. So this variety, I actually don't know what this variety is. He was a big box store purchase, and I know there are dahlia groups out there who could help me identify it, because I bought this one before I was like really into dahlias, so I didn't pay attention. If there's anybody out there who knows what he is, maybe you can let me know. I love how long and straight these stems are. I do not love how floppy those heads are. You see how floppy that is? When I make arrangements, I have to just support his head, but we'll get to that later. Let me show you how I harvest. Well, look at this guy. Dahlias, if you've got the right variety, will absolutely grow on super long stems. And actually down here you can see when you harvest. Oh, did you see the little bug back out right as we were talking? When you harvest, you want to take it back to an axis, and that will encourage these side shoots to grow. And you see how this guy is actually on a side shoot, and therefore like has this beautiful long stem. And you want to just keep on doing that, even if it means sacrificing some buds. So what I mean is, I'm about to cut this guy, and I'm going to cut him all the way back down there to encourage more branching. But that means that this guy, this little bud, is going to be cut off. And that's okay. Yes, it is. Yes, it is okay. Is that okay? Yes. This guy is obviously old and not happy anymore. So I'm just going to trim him off completely. And I'm going to do that for all these flowers, even, hear me, even if I'm not going to use them. If maybe they've got excess bug damage, like this guy, turn you around. This guy, obviously, he's been eaten up, which I struggle with white flowers. White flowers in my garden just get attacked by bugs. I love this dahlia when it's clean and beautiful, but what I have to do is actually come out when they're at this stage and like protect them, put little bags over them or something to keep this from happening, because I cannot just harvest it as a bud and expect it to open. Y'all, I'm so dirty. hopefully I don't look too gross. Dahlias will not continue to open in the vase. There are others that will, that I can talk about as we harvest some more, because I'm going to take you guys around and harvest a whole bunch of other stuff today. Just real quickly, dahlias won't. You have to wait for them to be completely open. They won't open anymore, and so you risk bug damage. Even though I'm not going to use him, I'm still going to cut him off, and I will just throw him in the path. And it is very sad, but that's the only thing that's going to tell this plant to produce more. Sorry to interrupt myself. Warning, slightly graphic content. So I'm going to tell you what I'm about to show you. So if you need to close your eyes, it's okay. But I think it's kind of groovy, because I just talked about how much I hate earwigs. And y'all, the earwigs in our area have been awful this season. There have been so many of them. There's a spider who's working on an earwig over here. You ready? Close your eyes if you don't want to see it. Hey, little dude. Did you get yourself a snack? Get yourself a snack. Oh. Okay. It's done. It's done. I just love when nature works. I love it when I see pests being controlled by other things. Oh, look, here's another little critter. Nom 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 nom. Nom 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 nom. Oh, I'm sorry I interrupted you. Bees like dahlias. Okay, anyway. That's enough of that. I'm going to cut a whole bunch of dahlias. I'm going to cut them long. I'm going to sacrifice buds. I'm going to cut things that I'm not going to use just so that the plant continues to produce goodies for me. And then I'm going to put them in my bucket and I'm going to meet you guys elsewhere. Okay, here's my other dahlia bed. We were just over there. Now we're in this one. This is the one where I tie the strings up to these hoop structures that we keep in this bed all the time. I don't know how much you guys can hear the race cars and the mower. Dave is mowing. Someone else is in race cars. Anyway, I would call this so far marginally successful. That was a spotted lanternfly nymph, I guess. They're all over the place. Anyway, I would call this marginally successful. These guys you see are pretty well supported. Those guys are pretty well supported. Some of these guys, like inside here, these guys have flopped a little bit. I'm actually going to cut this curly Q guy. See how they grow sideways. So, mixed reviews. Back here I've got a couple more that are flopping. So I might, because it is still only July, these guys have a lot of growing season left. One cooler morning, I'm going to come in here, and I had already planned on putting another string across the middle and maybe doing a couple lower strings as well to start catching some of these guys who are flopping a little bit. But like I said, marginally successful. I'm not angry at it. This is definitely, as I said over there, more upright than they've ever been. So, yay. Let me finish harvesting as many flowers as I can out of here, and then we'll go over to snapdragons. Y'all. The corpses of spent dahlias. So sad. Okay, snaps and zinnias. Let's go over here. How are we looking? We're looking okay. Okay, zinnias. I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking about how I harvest all the flowers because this video is going to be all over the place anyway. But real quickly, unlike dahlias, which might flop, zinnias should not. When you harvest zinnias, same thing. Harvest them long. Sacrifice buds if you need to. Zinnias, just like dahlias, will just keep on pumping out the blooms so long as you keep them harvested. But notice, even though he's small, because he is, this is either a queen lime or queen lime with blush. Actually, I think it's queen lime with blush because it's got pink. I'm just going to say queen lime with blush. That's him. He's little, but I know he's ready because see how his head doesn't like flop? He's staying really stiff. That tells me he's ready. I didn't cut this guy super long, but cut long stems, sacrifice buds if you need to. And just like with the dahlias, anybody who you're not using, just cut and throw away because that'll make the flower churn out more. Cool? Let me harvest these guys. Another thing, oh my gosh, I keep on interrupting myself. I had totally envisioned just doing this really fast, but I feel like I gotta tell you all the things. So, not floppy head, but also strip your leaves and especially zinnias. They're what we call dirty flowers. They make the water gross. They lead to bacterial growth in your vase water. They're dirty flowers. Strip the leaves off of your flowers. It also makes it infinitely easier to work with. Okay, my battery's actually about to die. So I am going to finish zooming through this, and I'll meet you at the other side with the snapdragons. I'm way over here. Hi, I'm gonna hide behind my sunflowers. And no, let me change the camera angle. This is silly. So here's my snapdragons falling. Again, I'm using them in arrangements, so them having twisty necks is not the end of the world, especially these that have flopped. I'm gonna cut all the way back. And let me show you, I'm actually then gonna cut him short. With snapdragons, you wanna harvest them when you've got some unopened up at the top and you've got most of these guys opened. He's actually kind of pretty like that, isn't he? And you can see down along here, there are some of the blooms that have fallen off. And then, of course, you're gonna wanna make him sing. Hello. Hello. Because you have to. You don't grow snapdragons unless you make them sing. Okay, so I'm gonna take all these guys. So far, these are still producing beautifully even in the heat. Snaps definitely prefer the cold. I don't know if you guys can hear Dave mowing, right back there mowing. So I'm gonna stop talking and then I'll talk to you guys in a moment. So yeah, I'm gonna finish harvesting out here. I'm gonna take the flowers inside, let them condition for a couple hours, and then this afternoon, when I don't want to be outside, I will make a couple arrangements and I can take you guys along for that and think if there's anything else I haven't explained. There's a lot I haven't explained, but I've talked a lot. So anyway, next time I see you guys, it'll be in the cool of my house. Hello. Is it me you're looking for? There's a kitty on the deck. Okay. Hi guys. So it's a couple days later, actually, not to you guys, but to me. I harvested all these flowers with you guys on Saturday. Today is Monday. It's what happens. But I do want to put together an arrangement. These dudes have been sitting in the bucket for a couple days, which is no biggie really for me. I'm probably not going to get the longest vase life out of them, but this is really just for fun anyway, and we're leaving on vacation at the end of the week, so I still want to do it. I still want to put them together, have a little joy in my house. It's looking like it's going to be a stressful week, so some pretty will do me some good. Yes, I'm all over the place. So I am going to go ahead and try and put these together in some kind of arrangement. Now, I'm not going to talk a lot about my process because this video is already promising to be pretty long. David's making faces at me. Jerk. If you are interested in the way I arrange flowers and some of the ways I do bouquets and arrangements, let me know. I am not trained in any way. I just do what I think is pretty. But I think it works. I think they're pretty. And yeah, let me just start doing that. David has joined me on the deck. It's very distracting. I did want to let you guys know. I know I haven't talked through this process, and I don't even know how much you can see. Hopefully enough. And I'm not done yet, so don't judge yet. I have some of this Dusty Miller that I am actually not going to stick in this arrangement. I'm going to set this aside. I'm going to hang it upside down to dry because I've seen it used to beautiful effect in dried arrangements, especially like winter wreaths. And it's part of the reason why I grew this. So I'm going to set him aside and start that process and sort of experiment. So that's that. So I did want to interject real quick. One, this, actually, I'm kind of digging like all the colors so far. This is not a tight color palette at all. And I'm liking it. It's kind of fun. Anyway, let me finish up and then I'll show you. Okay, I think I'm done. Oh my gosh. All right, can you guys see him? I don't know how well you can see him. That is what, he keeps on landing on my arm and he won't leave me alone. I don't know why he likes me so much. Anyway, I was telling David, this isn't my favorite that I've ever made, especially when it's got a spotted lanternfly on it. Still bring you guys in close up and show you, but it's not always the point, is it? It's not always the point to make something that you think is wedding worthy. I had fun. I harvested flowers. And again, like I was saying out there, I will reiterate, one of the things I love about flowers is this mindset of abundance. You have to use them. You have to play with them because they'll stop producing if you stop harvesting them. So I like that. I like that about it. There's a couple things that I will point out. I should have waited a couple weeks to harvest the Jewels of Opar. See how they still have the tiny little blooms on them? Which are, I mean, look at that. That's precious. But the jewels are what we want. Some of these things are still past their prime, but I'm happy with it. I realized I had your foot in the shot. So that's it, you guys. I know that was quite the sampler of a video. There's lots of little things going on around the Lloydstead, and that's how we do. I want to encourage you to drop me a comment. Tell me if you want to see more flowers. Tell me if you want to see more David. He said no. Tell me if you want to see less David. That's not a thing. And yeah, come back and hang out with us. I will see you guys again soon. Bye. You see this little guy? He like won't leave me alone. No. He's a tiny little thing. That guy does? I don't think he does.
Yes, they do.